All right, so on to the next rule. Now we're going to talk about what happens if you have two things with exponents being divided. So, for example, if I gave you 5 to the 7th over 5 to the 3rd, well, again, with exponents, you can always write it out as multiplication and see what happens. So if I write the top, I have 7 of these 5s multiplied together. That's what the 7 tells me. All right, and then on the bottom, I have 3 of them. Okay, and then we know that a number divided by itself is always 1, and so we use this thing called canceling. I hope you've seen this before. So the 5 divided by the 5 makes 1, and anything times 1 is just itself. So in a sense, we think of it as go away, but it's really, you're just making factors of 1. So I've got a 1 here, a 1 here, a 1 here, and so what am I left up with? I'm left with 1 times 1 times 1 times 5 times 5 times 5 times 5, which is the same thing as 5 to the 4th power. Well, what happened? How is 4 related to 7 and 3? Well, we've got 7 5s on top and 3 5s on the bottom. So when we cancel out, we take away 3 of the 5s from the top, right? And all the ones from the bottom go away. So what we really did was took 7 and took away 3 to get our 4. And this is exactly what the quotient rule for exponents says. Quotient in math just means to divide, right? So the quotient rule says if you've got a to the n over a to the m, we can simplify that by taking the exponent on the top. It's really important that the top one comes first, and subtracting the exponent on the bottom. So how could we use this? A quick example. So if I had 10 to the 5th divided by 10 to the 3rd, you could multiply out 10 to the 5th and then multiply out 10 to the 3rd and divide it using order of operations. But that's a lot of work. So I'm going to use my handy-dandy quotient rule. I see I've got the same base on the top and the same base on the bottom. It's really important that the bases match, otherwise this doesn't work. The reason why the bases need to match is because if we were to write it out and cancel these guys out, in order to do the canceling, they have to match up. They can't be different. So it's really important that the bases match when you use these rules. So I've got 10 to the 5th and 10 to the 3rd. So according to my quotient rule, I take the exponent of the top number and subtract the exponent on the bottom. So I get 10 to the 5 minus 3, which is not 5. So this is 5 minus 3 is 2. So 10 to the 2nd power, which, not too bad, we can do that. 10 to the 2nd power is 100. Now that was a lot easier than multiplying 10 by itself 5 times, multiplying 10 by itself 3 times, and then dividing. So that's how you could use the quotient rule for exponents.